I'm Max Beasley, and you're listening to the 5D podcast.
This is Andy Berkeley, and you're listening to the 5D podcast.
Hey, this is Level Up Leroy, and you're listening to the 5D podcast.
Get yourself ready for an interdimensional sensory experience. Welcome all to the dimension of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. This is the 5D podcast.
Hello there and welcome to the 5D podcast brought to you by Stuart Zack from 5D-blog.com. Welcome to those of you listening live on Twitch. Also, welcome to those of you listening on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn and Stitcher. Be sure to check out the 5D-blog.com website for blog articles, competitions and news. And of course, check out the 5D YouTube channel, the details for which can be found on the 5D website. So, how's it going?
Not bad. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm okay. It's been busy this week. It's been trying to get a lot done. Because we've got a rather special episode today, which we'll talk a little bit more in just a moment. I know you've been busy as well because you've been doing your binging.
Yep.
So I don't know if you've been preparing for what we're going to be talking about tonight, but certainly you've been a wee bit busy. So did you actually catch up on Afterlife?
I have started Afterlife, and I started. Yeah. So obviously I watched season 1 when it was out, but season 2 recently dropped, and you got a retweet from Ricky Gervais.
Thank you for mentioning that, because I would have mentioned it at least. You know me. That was bonkers, wasn't it? Because I wanted to mention this today, and thank you for stepping in. Because I'd just put something on Twitter the other day, basically saying that we talked about Afterlife briefly in the news for last week's episode, and my mate Ricky, my bestest pal, my BFF now, he liked it, retweeted it, and he actually liked something else I put on later as well. So he must have had nothing to do that day because he was obviously stalking.
Must be their isolation getting to him.
Must be. I mean, the guy's got like 40 million listeners, followers. So I kind of went a bit fanboy because I said to you, "Oh, look what's happened." But it was pretty cool.
But I think what I'll do is I'll actually get up to date with that. I've started it. I'm 2 episodes deep just now.
Well, this is what I was going to say. I was going to say, we'll probably talk about it next time, I think, because you've only got 4 episodes left. So when we do next week's episode, we'll talk a wee bit about that. Also, as well, I think maybe we'll do a bit of a Games of Thrones catch-up as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've actually caught up all of my recordings of that now. I couldn't stop.
I know, right? I'm just trying to catch up with everything, and probably we'll have in the next few days. Talk about Ricky Gervais, which we were... who retweeted me, by the way, just in case.
Oh, did he?
Quite catch that. I know. A fellow co-star of his from Night at the Museum is the guy we're going to be talking to in just a few moments.
Tell me more.
That's almost authentic. Well, that was good then. So we're going to be talking to Patrick Gallagher, who's again a well-known face. He's got an IMDb list as long as your arm, and he's got a huge amount of credits. Been in a bunch of films, Master and Commander, Far Side of the World with Russell Crowe. I really want to talk to him about that. He played, I think, Awkward Davis, the character in that. He was in Night at the Museum, the 3, I think, but all 3 he was in. He played Attila the Hun. Not Genghis Khan, as I said the other day, but Attila the Hun. And what else? I mean, he's been in a whole bunch of stuff as well. He's got a huge list. He does his games.
He's got some video game credits on there.
Yeah, he's got credits for his voiceovers on that. So
the highly anticipated Ghost of Tsushima.
You said that very well.
Thank you.
You said that very well. Much better than I could. So we're really looking forward to talking to Patrick. So we'll be talking to him very shortly. And hopefully we'll have this out and you'll be able to listen to it and then let us know what you think.
Indeed.
Okay, so shall we talk to Patrick now?
I think we probably should.
Let's go for it. Okay.
How you guys doing? You can see my Vancouver Canucks t-shirt.
I know, right?
my Raptors t-shirt is in the laundry, so.
A true Canadian hockey fan.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's bad. I'm more of a basketball fan now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Raptors sold me.
So how you manage?
Have you seen the Jordan documentary on Netflix?
No, I haven't. I've been watching. Well, I'm not embarrassed. I've been watching a Great British Baking Show.
No.
I love that. I needed something happy. I started early on in the lockdown, and I love it. I watched Evil.
Okay.
Right.
And then I watched War of the Worlds. Has anybody seen the new one?
Yeah. It took me a couple of episodes to get, you know.
That was very European in the best sense of the word.
It was not what I was expecting.
No, and then her brother, is that storyline really necessary?
Oh yeah. That was a weird kind of angle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if they're doing a series 2 for that because it was only, I think it was recently. I think it was a European. It was a France. I think was it a French-made thing? I think it seemed to remember.
Yeah, it was very French.
But yeah, I think I liked it. It's one of those things where I think I liked it.
I couldn't figure it out. Parts of me loved it, and then I'm like, do I like this? I'll tell you one thing: don't watch it by yourself at night, because then every noise you're like, what the hell is that?
I tell you what, I really did like. I love the kind of like the dog. Robot aliens thing, whatever they were supposed to be, they were really cool. The K9 type things, they were really well made, don't you think? It was really cool.
What I did like though was the character thing. If that had been American, it would have been a bunch of guys holed up with a bunch of guns and blowing the hell out of everything. But this was, there was characters and there were guns. It was that soundtrack. I'm the same with you. I was like, I like this. No, I don't like this. I like it.
Because I know you've been binging because you told me you were, because when we were trying to arrange the time, I think I said to you, because it's 8 p.m. UK time here, so 12 noon, isn't it? I think your time now.
Yeah, noon and
and I said to you, and I hope you don't mind me saying so, but I said to you, is 11 okay? And you went, well, it might be because I'm binging TV, and so we said put it to 12. So that's like binging. That's taking your time.
Yeah, but I've also been exercising. I lost, I guess what you guys would call a stone. I lost 15 pounds.
Wow.
I rode my bike already today. I just started walking to clear my head.
Man, I've been putting the weight on. I tried some jeans on the other day. I thought they'd shrunk, and I realized no. My wife said to me, So I need to do it. I
was the same, because when we first started, mid-March, I was just eating Oreos, which is the cookie of the apocalypse. And then I just started to go for a walk just so I wouldn't get stir crazy, and then that just pushed into biking, and so I'm down 15 pounds. Yeah. So I rode my bike this morning. I just got back.
Well, I'll go for a dog walk once we've done this. My pooches will be going out, because we're kind of still quite strict lockdown here in Scotland. It's not quite as the restrictions being lifted, so we're kind of still pretty much, full on for a while anyway, I think, at least.
Right.
What do you think of the boys? You watched it before we talk about you.
Yeah,
but what do you think of the boys?
I really like it.
Yeah.
It took me by surprise. Yeah, and it's got a bit of social commentary that I think needs to be.
You're saying that about the taking by surprise. We said exactly the same things. We talked about the boys quite a lot in the podcast previously, didn't we, Zach? And it took us by surprise, because I was expecting a kind of, I don't know, lightweight type thing, but it's a really dark story, isn't it?
And it's a real, I think the word is polemic is the right word on American society right now.
Yeah.
It exposes the hypocrisy of corporatism, the hypocrisy of the evangelical right. Don't even get me started on that. That sort of celebrity hero worship that has permeated society. I really dug it. I got some friends on it.
Yeah.
Paul Nunez, sadly died in that plane crash. A friend of mine. I worked with him a few times.
Wow. Okay.
So are you guys in Scotland, Stuart and Zack? You're in London, or?
No, we're both in Scotland. We're both in Scotland.
Edinburgh, or?
We're about Aberdeen, so which is about 150 miles, 200 miles north of Edinburgh-ish, north of Edinburgh. So yeah, we're on the kind of east coast of Scotland, so it's
I've
pretty
always
cool.
wanted to go, but I can't get out of London. I want to go to Ireland too because I'm half Irish. But I just every time I go there, I just love London so much. I can't get out of this.
So you haven't visited your Irish roots then or anything like that?
No, I haven't. I was actually my dad passed last October, so my plan was to fly there on his birthday, March 26th, and drop his ashes. But with the travel restrictions, I wasn't able to do it. So that's still the plan.
Okay.
I just want to see them see my name and my face and be like, just give me some fucking whiskey. I can do a Northern Irish accent. I can't do a Southern.
So whereabouts in Ireland?
Was Cork.
Okay, all right, okay.
Gallagher's from Cork.
Okay, nice.
So I've always wanted to go.
So because obviously, I say obviously because we've been reading up on you. So you're from British Columbia originally.
Canada,
yeah. So how
I lived in Toronto and Montreal.
So how did a Canadian boy get into sort of the acting then? Because I mean, was it a . thing or was
Yeah, my dad was a Shakespeare Chaucer professor. He had his PhD at 26.
Oh,
so
nice.
We always had that kind of a vein in the family. My mother is a music teacher. I always liked it. Honestly, what happened was they got divorced when we were in high school, and it kind of threw me for a loop. So I went from 4 B's and A's to barely graduating high school. I got really lazy. I have a bit of a lazy streak, which I'm trying to fix. And I just dropped out of college the first year, and I literally just auditioned for a local community college theater program to get my family off my ass. I got in. Then I, on a whim, decided to audition for National Theatre School of Canada, where they take 10 out of 500 a year, and that was life-changing. I luckily got into that class, graduated in 93. Sandra Oh was in that class, Kari Matchett.
Wow.
Yeah, we graduated 13 out of 14. We do a Zoom thing every week, so and then I just got fortunate. I mean, there's an element of luck as well as what I had to learn. There's an element of just hard work and belief.
I mean, what was it that kind of attracted you once you kind of dip your toe there? Was it, because I mean, some actors and performers, it's kind of like a protection from the real self. Some people, it's because they like to pretend and they like to explore things. What was it for you? Was it just...
I think it's a little bit of all of that. It never feels like work. It feels like being a kid. When we're kids and we're playing like William Wallace, or we're playing cowboys, and, we're playing, whatever. I mean, you get to do that, but it's the second best job in the world. Rock star is the first.
Damn right, yeah.
If I could be a rock star, I've been able to sing in front of a crowd twice, and it was the coolest thing I've ever done. But yeah, I mean, you get to explore parts of yourself. It's a little bit of exploring parts of yourself as well as kind of escape.
Yeah.
You can find art in anything. I mean, even that. I always tell people, the art is our interpretation. The art is just the truth.
And don't you think,
how I look at it.
Over the last few weeks with the lockdown and everything, I think I was lucky enough to talk to Sarah Clark, who was in 24 and Bosch and so forth, and we were talking about how it appears with all the stuff that's been put online by various people, lots of excerpts, it's shown how really important actuing just art is, to keep people going.
Absolutely.
And that includes people like yourself and me, binging things, to get a feel of what's going on. Go on, sorry, you were going to say.
Well, what I found interesting is and I think part of the reason I started to go for a walk every day, and I don't have headphones on. I actually at some point stopped and I just walk and literally, stop and smell the flowers and look around. I think that I need to do that because the binging felt like. It was strange because it's not that much of a lifestyle change for me. I'm the kind of actor who will have months off at a time anyway.
Yeah.
But there was something different about this that just felt.
It's enforced, wasn't it? It's enforced.
Yeah.
You feel like I don't want to do now because this is what I've got to do. So.
I also felt it a little bit like everyone found my secret room. This was my place of doing nothing all day, and it somehow spurred me. And I think that the whole sense of dread, the whole sense of fear sort of made me go, I need to go outside. I need to find something for my soul.
Yeah.
And then I can, so I've been watching less TV recently. So,
Well,
art is important.
My promise to myself was to read lots of books, but I just haven't kept to that promise. You know, you have these kind of high grand things to catch up on all my, to catch up on books I thought I was going to read and didn't get to.
I tried to. I was going to read The Silmarillion again.
Oh God!
I read that thing twice, and I still.
You know something? I love Tolkien. I really do, and I mean, The Hobbit is kind of the book that changed my life. It literally did when I was about 9 or 10.
Me,
and then I tried Lord of the Rings when I was about 12, 13. It took me a while, but I read that every year. The Silmarillion, I just find that really difficult to read. You know.
And I always skip the first part of it to get into the good stuff.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand all of that. Then they're referring to it. So you go, shit, I should have read that first section. Apparently they're doing a series of.
Yeah. I think is it Amazon that have got it, Zach? I think it's an Amazon series.
I was trying to get on that, but I've never watched Game of Thrones.
You've never watched Game of Thrones?
Neither had I. I've only just started it myself.
I read those books, and they're such amazing books that I have such a rich world in my imagination. I don't want to wreck it. It happened with Dune. Yeah. I saw Dune before I read the books, and I couldn't get those images out of my head. And so I've read each one of those books twice. I mean, they're incredible books.
Yeah.
Part of me is now thinking it's been so long I'd have to read all of them again to get to the fifth one. So I might just start watching it now after the boys.
After the so you're living in LA now. So was it kind of the work that took you there, or was it that you moved there to get the work? Was it a kind of conscious thing, or
a little bit of both? I mean, I moved down here when I was 34, just after I'd done a TV show in Canada called Da Vinci's Inquest, and of course, as soon as I come down here, I went back and I was gone for a year. I mean, for the first 6 years I lived here, I was gone for 3 of them. But I came down here for the same reason a lot of us do, to try to find the work. They were back in the day, Canadians would do 10 episode shows and Americans would do 18 and 22s. Well, that's all changed. Now everything's the 6s and 8s.
Yeah.
So I'm actually considering, and a lot of my friends are talking about heading back. We don't need to be here. Honestly, I'm a dual citizen, but I'm getting a little bit tired.
And it's and again,
going on down here?
It's well, I mean, to be honest, we've got our own problems again over here. I mean,
it took you guys 4.5 years to get to do Brexit. I mean, first you did it, and then it's like, okay, I mean, you're trained. You guys were the trains run on time, guys.
I know, right? I mean,
and you can't just go, fuck it, we're out of here, we're staying.
I can't remember the last time trains were on time here.
I mean, for the last 2 or 3 years, I mean, I've been seriously taking the piss of I mean, I've got a lot of American friends, and I love American, and it's given so much love. I genuinely do. But there's been a little bit of piss taking from me about Trump and all this stuff. But then we go and elect our own idiots, and it's just we
win. You guys can't hold a candle, man. And Boris Johnson told people to inject disinfectant.
Well, maybe not.
Honestly,
maybe.
Don't even get me. Can I swear?
Go for it, man. Of course you can.
Don't even fucking get me started on that son of a bitch, man. Seriously.
Well,
if he wins, I'm out of here. I'm not living to watch America become a fascist country, and I don't think it's hyperbole to say that if he wins again unfettered with nothing stopping him, they're going to start rounding people up, and I'm probably 9,000 on that list. I tell him to fuck himself every week on Twitter.
I mean, I've looked at your Twitter feed, and you're very political, and you're very honest, and you're very forthright. Has it ever occurred? Have you ever thought to yourself that could possibly hinder the career? And do you care about that? Okay, yeah.
I don't care. There's more important things, I mean, people. This could be 1933 Germany, and what happened then? People didn't worry about it.
Yeah.
And this is honestly, the left wing here has got to stop this namby-pamby bullshit, man. This is a war. They're not coming back. The country is divided. We need to win, and we need to crush them metaphorically and send them back under their fucking rocks and say, keep your racism and your fucking anti-science bullshit to yourself.
Yep.
That's not America.
I mean,
but I'm on the fence about all of it.
I was going to say, I mean, maybe you might commit yourself one day to actually say what you think. So
Yeah, it's what I really think. But honestly, there is no getting them back. And I think the right wing has won because they understand that there is no kumbaya bring back.
It does concern me, the same thing. Yeah, I'm concerned, and I'm concerned about for our side of things as well, that all right, things may change in terms of whoever's in charge, but the problems that have been caused may still be there, and Pandora's box has been opened in so many ways with race and a lot of the things
sorry, it worries me that it's heading into Canada now, which is part of the reason that's motivating me to think about heading back.
I mean,
I'd rather my tax money go to roads and high and schools rather than weapons and stuff. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to ask you about it because it kind of leads into what I was going to ask about, because obviously so your mixed race heritage, you're Chinese, Irish, as I was saying.
I'm Chirish. I call it Chirish.
That's so cool. Did you ever find that people, particularly in the early days, maybe wanted to kind of pigeonhole into particular roles because of the way that you look? Did you find those kind of heavy Oriental type roles, kind of given you away?
I was really fortunate because I think I look so ethnically ambiguous, a little less, as it goes, that I never got pigeonholed. And honestly, I felt more uncomfortable going for full-on Asian roles because I don't think I look Asian. I think people think I'm Polynesian or mixed. And so for me, I never tell anybody if I'm in a casting room. And I'm not trying to be coy. I just don't want to influence you one way or the other.
Yeah.
If you think I can be Asian, I can be Asian. If you think I can be, whatever. But I've been playing a lot of like regular dudes, a lot of characters named Finn and Smith and I remember I'd argue with my sister and brother about it a little bit, that they would think that I was kind of ashamed or pushing it aside.
Right.
I don't think I'm Asian or Irish. My whole essence and everything I am is a mix of that growing up in Canada, and that's who I am.
It kind of
there's weird things like, and this sounds silly, but I remember we went and saw Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon with our friends, and my sister and brother and I weirdly understood it on some weird level that they did. We don't even know what we understood.
Yeah.
But there was something about that movie that I totally get that.
Right.
And I don't really know what it was. They were kind of making fun of the jumping on the trees. I'm like, no, I understand.
It kind of makes me feel a bit better because you mentioned Polynesian for years. Because I've been familiar with your work for years because you popped up in so many things. Your IMDb list is about as long as my arm, 8 credits or something like that. And counting.
Really fortunate.
I thought for years you were Polynesian, I thought there was some sort of Polynesian sort of background there.
I tell ladies that because there's a sexy fat, and Polynesians have it. So I tell my name's Patrick Malu. You ever notice that? If you're Polynesian, you're fat, you're sexy. So if I like a girl, I'll tell them I'm Polynesian, and they'll be like, oh, and then they find out I'm Chinese. I'm like, no, he's not attractive. There's a sexy fat, and white people didn't get it. The Irish guys didn't get the sexy fat, but the Polynesian
guys do.
Okay. Yeah. So I will say I'm Patrick Malu. That's one of my stupid stand-up jokes. But yeah, I ironically, I think I've played him a couple of times. I don't really think about it, to be honest with you. When I work on it, it never occurs to me.
Yeah.
There were a couple of times when they had, they wanted me to go fresh off the boat from Hong Kong, and I said, I'm not auditioning for that. I'm not going to get it. You don't see me as that.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's not. It's a waste of everyone's time. I don't want to do the accent. Because I think it would be making fun of it if I tried to.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, talk about the IMDb. I didn't realize when I was looking through your IMDb sort of list of credits. And as I say, it is a mile long. Man, you've been busy. You've done quite a lot of video games voice as well.
Recently, yeah.
Yeah.
Ironically, Ghost of Tsushima comes out in
next month,
July 17th. Yeah, and I got to play a bad Mongol.
That was a very big part. Are you not the main antagonist in that?
Yeah, I mean, we invade. I'm trying to think what I'm allowed to say. Yeah, the Mongols invade. It's based on a real Mongol invasion of Japan, and so I'm the head of the Mongols.
Yeah.
So it's pretty spectacular.
So I mean, video games. Obviously, that's a whole different experience to what your usuals would be. Is it different preparation for something like that?
Yeah, it's very different. It takes a little bit of getting used to. First of all, it's that skin-tight suit, which nobody should ever have to see me in, including myself, but it's unavoidable.
So you have to do the whole motion capture thing then?
Yeah. Now, motion capture and performance capture are different. I don't really like motion capture because you don't feel like you're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been lucky to do it a couple times, get healthcare here when I first started, but, you're just running around. Performance capture, the way I look at it is it's kind of like doing a radio play standing up. It's not like you're acting in a film because you've got these cameras that are that
all
far
up in your
away.
face.
Yeah, you can't get all that intimate. Your voice is more important in a lot of ways than your face because they're either going to make you look like you or they're not, and how you move. So I was in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and I'm playing a guy named Mad Schultz, and I got this really cool sort of ponytail,
Cowboy hat and stuff.
yeah, cowboy hat and stuff. But you know, and so that was about the voice. And some actors find it a little bit difficult to do at first. I did.
Yeah.
Until you realize that you know you can't talk low, you're not going to get close. So it is sort of like a standing up radio play, is how I look at it.
Yeah, because I imagine it must be weird because I don't suppose you can put your head down or move around to really like invoke kind of like emotions or anything. It would be a case that you're almost straight on at all times.
Yeah, and then you know, like I had a wife in Breakpoint, and we had to get close, but we couldn't bang the cameras. And when you drink, you're drinking from there, you know, because your mouth is there, so you've got to drink there, and then they'll do their magic. You know, the hat push the hat was never on me. It's amazing to see what they do with it then, you know.
Yeah. So do you see much of the games afterwards then, like Breakpoint, for example?
Yeah, I mean, you'll go in and then you'll do the voice afterwards, so you'll be able to see some of what they're doing. You know, so especially on Ghost of Tsushima, they were kind enough to, like, as I would go in and do voice work and record lines afterwards, they'd show me some of the stuff they'd done.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a nice thing to have, especially the Ubisoft stuff, because I used to get to go to Montreal, which I love. I went to Buddha School there.
Yeah.
I love that town. Did you guys ever go to Canada? Have you ever been to Canada?
Never been to Canada. It's on my list. It's on my
list.
list.
Go to Montreal first. I know I should say Vancouver, but it's like nowhere else in the world. I mean, it is this. It's North American and European at the same time.
Yeah.
It's an amazing city.
Some friends.
And then go. I should say Vancouver because that's where I grew up.
Go on, go for yeah. You got.
I prefer Toronto, which is Canadian.
I had some friends that did the Canadian. They just did. I think it was a train sort of journey throughout the whole. And man, they just. The pictures were just incredible, you know. I think they went for a month, scenery. And they went just from coast to coast. Didn't do America, didn't do the US, just did Canada. So it's on my bucket list to do. Do you play the games?
I would love to do that trip, actually.
Yeah.
You can play the games.
Yeah, play the games. do you not play the games that you're, you know, so...
I haven't played video games for a long time. I don't have a PlayStation. I've been giving hints to Sony that I would love to play. I don't own a PlayStation at the moment. I mean, honestly, I am a kid of the 80s, so I used to go to the arcade.
Me too. Same me. Yeah.
Wizard of War and Defender and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Once the first shooter stuff came in, the first-person shooter, I didn't understand it.
No, I was the same. I was in the arcades, and my game of choice was Galaxian. I don't know if you remember Galaxian, man, and Defender. Space Invaders to a certain extent.
Did nobody play Wizard of War?
No, I didn't play Wizard of War.
It was great. It was a great game, and then I remember all of them. There's still an arcade in Vancouver that's been there since I was in high school.
Real? Oh,
on
wow.
Granville Street. I don't know how they haven't sold it. It's prime real estate. It's got the same old games that had it. Some of the same games. I think it's the same Space Invaders. That I played, 25 years ago.
That would be so weird going back, because I used to love that. I got all the classic games on, I think when PlayStation or whoever released them a few years ago, and they had a big box set with them all on. But it wasn't quite the same. It wasn't. No, it wasn't that. Being in the arcade with your mates, and playing and doing all that stuff, and the noise, the music blasting out, Bon Jovi or whoever blasting out behind you,
And you hear ding 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 one side and bang bang bang.
And then you've got your groups, because you don't like them, and they don't. I was a punk rocker, and it's like, look, you guys, and they're over there, and it's that kind of stuff was always part of the arcade.
Well, I was a bit of a rockabilly bar though, because it was like the rockabilly kind of renaissance, and so we hated the mods and the punks, and they hated us. So it was so cool.
I was new wavy punk. Actually, I saw Stray Cats in Coliseum, and there were only 2,000 people there, so we all just went down to the floor. It was like a big sock hop. It was a great concert.
Yeah, that's one of the best gigs I've ever been. I saw the Stray Cats. Well, this would have been probably in their heyday actually, so around about 82. And it was just the best. It was.
And Eurythmics, I saw them at the Pacific National Exhibition. That was an amazing concert.
Nice.
He threw the drumstick, and I'm kind of shameful now that me and a girl grabbed it at the same time, and I used my strength, and I grabbed each other. But I was
what a card.
My hand got there first. I'm like, it was a split second, but my hand was on it first.
You see, I can see that you're not ashamed of it. You know, it's something
I am ashamed of
it. One of the first things I can remember seeing you in is a film which I absolutely adore. Now, for the life of me, I can never understand why a sequel wasn't made. So, I didn't realise until I looked at it the other day. It's 2003, so 17 years ago. Master and Commander. I mean, you played Awkward Davis in that, and that was such a good. You know, again, I can't understand why. You know, maybe it was expense. I'm not too sure. But what was your experience of that? Because that was.
That's funny you mention that, because that was one of sort of the big three jobs that I look at that sort of were, for lack of a better term, the breakout jobs.
Yeah.
It was that. I did that. Then I did Sideways the year after, and then I did a show called Da Vinci's Inquest. So that was the first time that I'd done a character more than once. I remember I was working at the White Spot in Vancouver, and I was literally thinking to myself, I've been acting for, I graduated in 2003, so it's 95. So I've been 9 years with a regular job, thinking, you know, I don't know how much longer I want to do this. I need something to just one $20,000 job, and you know, I could just start making it as a career. And I get this audition where it says Russell Crowe, Peter Weir, British Navy 1805 Welsh. I'm like, are you people fucking crazy? I mean, look at my face. And I thought, you know what? I don't know. Maybe they'll see something. I'll just go and audition. And there were no lines. It was just a series of questions.
Yeah.
And I did it with some with a casting director. And and then I get a call back, which I thought, okay. And then it was a sort of higher up cast director asked me just another series of questions, no accent, nothing. And then I got the damn job. And, you know, I asked Peter Weir about it. He said, you can tell in 5 seconds. You know, he said casting is 90% of directing.
Yeah.
He looked at every single one of those background people and had a hand in picking them.
Yeah.
And I sort of asked him, and I think the thing that got me the job is I asked some question, is Awkward Davies scared of anything? I said, no. And I think she said something like, what about God? And apparently I went, God and I have an understanding. And I think something like that got me the job. Then I show up. And then he's saying, you're going to do Welsh. I'm like, what? I'm going to do a Welsh accent? Okay. And there were 3 Welsh guys, and you guys know this better than I do, but there's not one Welsh accent. There's about 4 of them.
Yes.
So luckily, they'd be in my ear, and I'd say, say it. Okay, boom, and I'd do it. And then I go, shoot, I can't have Mark, because that's a different accent. So I did my lines, and I'm like, okay, and it was in the contract that they could change them. And then they call me a year later, and you have to do, you know what ADR is?
Yeah.
So you've got to loop your lines. I'm like, are you flying Joe and Mark in? I mean, I got to do Welsh. What the... Luckily, one of my best friend's dad was Welsh. And then I went in and did it. And one of my proudest moments was that they kept my Welsh accent. And I went to London, and people thought you were Welsh. And I'm like,
that is so cool. That's when you.
I knew I could get it past the Americans and the Canadians.
Yeah.
But get it past Brits. I'm like, wow. And, you know, and Peter Weir was great because he said, you know, you've been at sea for 20 years, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Accents are going to change.
Yeah.
The best part about that, you know that little line where I said, he said, put it on your arm. And I said, is that the arm you got, the arm you don't got?
Yeah.
I remember going to ADR going, we didn't shoot that. He goes, oh, I shot a rehearsal, and I thought it was such a great line.
Oh, man.
And what was amazing about that job is I didn't have a lot of lines. We had this great little gentleman's club, so we would just sit in this club, this little room for just the actors, and play cards and play pool and play ping pong, and then they would just call us down. And there were I'll tell you 2 quick stories. The first of all, I had to be the first one to shoot. I'm like, oh God! So that the first thing I shot was was that thing where the water came in with a thing. So I'm going, great, I got to be the first one to shoot.
Yeah.
Then the first time we had everybody shoot. You know that scene where they dropped the raft and Calamity went on there and climbed on?
Yeah.
So we were just sitting in our little room, hanging out, doing our thing, and they call us down. And Peter says, I want to show you something. And he had shot it with all the background people. Now, in the script, I think it says something like the raft is lowered, Calamity gets on it. And he showed us this amazing shot where you know, that long, beautiful shot.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And I think that's where he went, we'll follow you anywhere because you're brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, to take that and make it that beautiful thing was pretty incredible. And I can't remember my other story. Oh, well. What were you asking me?
I was going to say, because I mean, it's,
go on.
Yeah. Give us a second story.
So
go on.
At that point, I hadn't done a lot of stuff, and you know, I didn't have a lot of lines, and they would just literally just say, "Stand here, and this is what's happening." And I go, "What am I supposed to do?" So I wouldn't do anything, and none of it got cut. And that was where I went, oh, "Okay, we're just supposed to be.
Yeah.
We're just supposed to be ourselves." Because the hardest things you can do in this business, in my mind, are under fives, like 5 lines or less, are so difficult to do.
I was about to ask you that very thing. That was going to be my next question, because this film, you're in it a lot, but you don't say a lot, but you've got to do a lot.
So then it's kind of like your job to build the ecosystem around it.
And what was great is because I didn't know what to do, I thought I wasn't doing anything. Whereas before that, your instinct is, I've got to make this interesting, which is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
You know, if you got like an under 5, say you're a desk sergeant, and your line is, somebody walks in and you see a detective, you go, "This came for you, the captain wants to see you." Your wife is not divorcing you, your kids don't have drug problems. None of that stuff can be there, in my opinion, because it just somehow would not ring true. What you can do is go, do I like this cop? Am I glad he's in trouble? Do I feel bad? You can only go with what you got. But I sort of make it akin to, you know, paddling a boat. You paddle when you're supposed to paddle. If you paddle out of time, you're going to put the whole thing out of sync.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is just, hey, get out. That's it. That's your job. And they're so hard to do because you don't get any direction. You know, you're kind of on your own. I've done a lot of them. And it took me a long time to realize that it feels like nobody cares.
But it's such an important part. I think it's a really underrated part, because the amount of times I've watched a film, and maybe it's got a big crowd scene, and I've felt, I don't know about annoyed is the right word, but there's somebody in the crowd who's not just, quite obviously either faking it, they're not waving enough, there's no emotion there, and you think, that just, for me, it lets the whole thing, you know, down.
Or they're doing too much. Like I would get, you know, before Master and Commander, I would get a lot of lines cut, so I'd have 4 lines and end up with 2. And it's because I was trying to do too much, and I realized sometimes you just got to be there.
Yeah.
You know, and so that was what I learned in Master Commander. I was going, I don't know what I was, okay, I'll just stand here. And then they kept everything, and I went, oh,
the penny drops. Yeah,
that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah,
it served me well in Captain Marvel, which I did, which was a really small part, but I'm a big Marvel fan, so I decided to do it. But I had 3 lines, and I'm like, I know what to do.
Yeah,
but talk to me.
You've been in a Marvel film, man. You've been in a Marvel. Who cares if one line, 1,000 lines, you know?
Yeah, and you know, they directors talked to me. I was there for 28 minutes. I just did it 3 different ways, and like, there you go. I'm out of here. Thanks very much.
And
I'm in a Marvel movie.
You didn't get Brie Larson's cell phone number by any chance, did you? Just oh man,
no. She was very nice. Sam Jackson was very nice. First take, he's like, that was intense, man. I'll do a non-intense one. I mean, that's what I thought. My job is to come in and go, here's 3 different versions. You pick which one you like.
Is it?
You know you're a badass if Samuel's telling you that you're intense.
Yeah. It was quite nice.
Do you ever find it difficult to? I mean, that you would have just, you know, jumped into the film, as it were. You know, they've maybe been together for quite a while. Do you find that an easy thing to do, to slot in? You know, do you have that?
I didn't it early. It's always a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
It depends on the set. Some sets are better than others. You know, and I understand it, having been a regular a couple of times. You know, I try to, you know, I try to remember what it was like to be that guest star who comes in, and it's hard, and every set is different. You know, but you know, really good actors and good people will make you feel welcome.
Sure.
You know, I just did a SWAT, and they were, Station 19, and they were great. SWAT was great.
Yeah. You
know, it's harder if the series has been going on for a long time, because you know, you get into a rhythm, and it's kind of like, oh God, okay, here we go. You know, and it's the same shit all the time. I mean, I actually lined up for American Episodics. I got a bunch of auditions, and they're literally the same audition. They're exactly the same length. That one where it's that one where they think you did it, but you didn't. So it's like, what am I doing here? Fuck you. Whoa. Oh, I'll tell you what's going on. And I looked at him going, this is literally the same shit like 10 times.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be hard. I mean, it's soap operas, sitcoms are really hard. because they never leave that location. So more than anything else, that's their place.
Yeah.
And like I said, it comes down to the cast and directors, and some are better than others. I've only had one really bad experience early on.
Sorry, I won't ask you to be.
Well, all I'll say is I got in a big Twitter fight with her.
What in terms of fan reaction then? I mean, you must get. I'm guessing maybe Glee might be the kind of the most frequent reaction that you get.
Yeah, especially now with streaming, it kind of weirds me out that it just comes in waves. I'm like, oh shit, people have been watching Glee. Night at the Museum a little bit.
Oh man, I mean, I could talk to you all night about Night at the Museum because I mean,
what an amazing experience.
I mean,
that job was, that I'm so grateful for that, because that was most of that stuff wasn't even in the movie.
I've seen a lot of outtakes for that. I was watching some stuff this afternoon in preparation for talking to yourself, and there was quite a few outtakes and quite a few kind of bloopers, particularly with Ricky Gervais and Ben Stiller. They seem to be.
I'm kind of upset because I was so young and so nervous. I tried not to actually break, and I'm like, I didn't make the blooper reel because I was trying to hold everything together. But that job, I mean, that character got bigger and bigger and bigger. Most of that stuff wasn't in the movie.
Yeah.
And I just started making the language up eventually. I swear in it. If you listen really carefully, you'll hear it. And then I would ask people where their grandmother was from, like if they were from a foreign. I'd say, what city was she born in? So I'd throw that in. Someone asked me to throw Krispy Kreme in, so I threw Krispy Kreme donuts in. There's one. This was an honor to my mother's Indonesian Chinese heritage. There's one clear as day Indonesian bad word in there. And the first one, when I go Jabok Larry, that means wipe your ass. And then my family went and saw it. Like, what the hell did you say? I said, well, it's only going to matter in Indonesia. But I went, oh, Jabok Larry, and Jabok means wipe your butt.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
That was a little shout out.
Well, when I watch, I'll probably watch that with my wife this weekend. I'll go, I know what that means now. I'll just say, that wipe your butt.
But what an incredible experience that was to work with those guys. And Robin Williams was. I remember this. I was really scared in the first one because I'm sitting here, this Vancouver actor going, Ben Stiller, and I'm supposed to go toe to toe. I don't know what I'm doing. And I did something one day, and he came by and he said, that was really funny. And I know he did it on purpose.
Yeah.
I know he went, because I went, okay, Rob Williams is not funny, then I'm okay. And I know he did it on purpose.
I mean,
such an amazing.
I mean,
that was great.
I mean, the cast is just unbelievable. Anyway, but I mean, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, because I mean you're a name and you're a face yourself. But do you ever get starstruck, or do you ever just like is there anybody ever that you've kind of really done the fan thing to? Is there anybody that you've played with and you've kind of maybe felt a bit embarrassed by?
A lot of Russell was really intimidating, and he was an odd Ben Stiller. I mean, Robin Williams. I'll never forget the first time. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. And
then. Gervais was incredible to work with.
Yeah.
Guy's really, really funny. Yeah. Dick Van Dyke.
Oh man!
When I said, "Oh my God, you're Dick Van Dyke," he said something like, "I have been for 75 years." Mickey Rooney was there. I almost said I thought he was dead. But yeah, I mean, I still do. And what's great about them, most of them, they'll. When it comes right down to it, especially Ben saved my ass, because when it comes down to it, he's not Ben Stiller and the big star. It's two actors working together between action and comedy. Yeah. And I learned a lot. Sean Levy, the director, gave me so much freedom to do a lot of stuff. He had this phrase called the Gallagher thing. And I'm like, what was that? He said, well, you'd have 5 terrible ideas, but I knew the 6th one would be brilliant. I mean, a lot of that movie is improv. A lot of that movie is just try.
Yeah.
And that was a really great experience for me. That costume was a nightmare.
It looks a bugger and a bitch to get in and out.
40 pounds of real yak fur. I remember we shot the first time in New York City on the first one. It was minus 18 Celsius. I was standing still and I was hot.
Yeah.
And I went to them. I said, "You got to take some of the fucking yak fur out of this." And then I couldn't get the whole. I couldn't just take. I had to take all of it off to take any of it off. So the first one, when we first started to put it on, it took 10 minutes, and then we got it down to like 5. So the first one, I was really hot. The second one, you get a little bit like sequel, so I'm taking it off. I'm like, oh, and then you could kind of figure out when you had time. The third one was really hard because we had all the characters together all the time so often. It was hard for me to go, I've got a gap here to take it off.
Yeah.
So I would always go outside and smoke. And
forgive me for asking about another person, because obviously talking to you, but I'm really interested in someone like Robin Williams, because I mean, for me, I grew up watching Mork and Mindy first of all, and then he was, I was a huge fan, and I was genuinely upset when he died a few years ago. Genuinely upset. It was, as many people were. Yeah. I still can't really watch The Fisher King without thinking, oh my God, what was he like as a kind of, in terms of, obviously the comedian, but what was he like as a person? Did he have that
really
side where he was very quiet, very,
very quiet, very humble? He had no people.
Yeah.
I was in Vancouver in 2001 or something. And one of my friends decided we wanted to have this actor salon and talk about art. We're going to get together to talk about art. And she had met him at a reading, and he showed up.
Right.
By himself.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there going, look at Rob Williams. And then I made a joke and I made him laugh. I said something, we were talking about butts. I said, mine's so smooth you can ski off it. He went on riff for like 5 minutes. I'm like, he came by himself. He's incredibly generous. I'll never forget, after the first movie, I was in Toronto at the film festival, and he was sitting in a bar, and everyone's like, oh, and I'm going to go talk to him. I'm going, please remember me, please remember me. They got up and hugged me, and I'm like, I walked back going, yeah, I got to up for Robin Williams. How you guys doing? My name is Patrick Gallagher, by the way. But yeah, he was incredibly humble, incredibly generous, incredibly talented, because I think of him more as a dramatic actor, and I think he took that first movie and he was the anchor, and he said, boom, I'm gonna anchor this movie right here. I'm gonna find the solid foundation of it, and then we had the opportunity to just kind of to swirl around that anchor. Incredibly generous, incredibly kind, really quiet until he goes off in a riff. We were in London, and on the third one, and I couldn't sleep. I had jet lag. I couldn't sleep. And the first few days was fine because we were outside and it was cold. And then we moved into the British Museum, and he could tell that I really slept for like 2 hours a day for 5 days. And he goes, how you feeling? I said, oh, I'm really tired. And it's better when I was outside because I would smoke. And somebody said something about an e-cigarette. He went off for 10 minutes riffing on an e-cigarette. And again, to give us energy. And he went, and I remember sitting there going, people pay hundreds of dollars to watch this, and I'm getting it.
Yeah.
And I still think he said these guys need a pick me up.
Yeah.
I think he did. He said I hadn't done something like that for a year.
No.
So,
it's great to have memories like that. It's great to have memories like that. And like you say, it's not a job, is it? What you do? Oh, it doesn't sound. It sounds like you're just having fun, man.
One more story about him. I'll never forget. My niece came on the second one, and she was 4, and she said she's hungry, and he went and got her a muffin. Robin Williams went to the craft table and got my niece a muffin. And there's this great picture of her holding the muffin and Robin Williams standing right beside. I'm like, he's an Oscar Academy Award winning superstar.
Yeah. And
he went over and got my 4-year-old niece a muffin.
That's so cool. That is so cool. What a legend.
I wasn't going to get her a damn muffin.
Get your own damn muffin.
I wanted that muffin. That was the last muffin.
So ripped it out of her hand like that.
Yeah. I was just worried that Robin would get mad at me.
I mean, if it had been a drumstick, you'd have grabbed it yourself, man.
Yeah, no, he was great. I've been really fortunate, actually. I've worked with great people. I've never really had any terrible experiences. Some sets are more tense.
Yeah.
And, I think it's our job to just find a way. There's a real skill to being on set. It's our job to figure out if it's a tension set and just find a way to avoid it and do your job. Sometimes I just will hang out on set, and other times like, you know what? I'm just going to go off and hang out by myself.
Yeah.
And it's our job. I mean, really, they expect us to come in with, they've cast us. We've done an audition. They expect us to come in and say, okay, here it is. Here's this character. Boom. You get in and get out. And, you do your job.
Yeah.
5 things we got to do. Show up on time, know our lines, hit our mark, don't let fear stop us, and make sure someone knows who you are. That's the 5 things an actor's got to do.
5 simple rules to abide by.
I mean, it really is. Just don't wander away.
So what are plans for the future then? So we're kind of running out of time a wee bit. So what are you? I mean, obviously, no man, no. Honestly, it's been perfect. Saves me asking questions. You talk. It's great. What about the plans for the future then? Because obviously we've got the lockdown at the moment, but what's kind of on the horizon? You mentioned the game coming out. What else?
Yeah, I would did. Do you see Christmas Chronicles with Russell on
yeah.
last year?
Yep.
I'm in number 2 because it was a
nice.
museum producers and directors. So I play a surprise, a gruff security guard with a heart of gold, which was kind of nice because they just offered me the part, and I got to work with Kurt Russell, who was fantastic.
Nice.
So that will come out, I guess, next Christmas. I got a friend of mine who just wrote a really beautiful script for as part of some part of contest for lockdown, but it's a beautiful script that she wanted me to do. So I think I'll probably do that if we can find the funding. I don't know. I mean, the industry is really in flux, and it's going to be really hard for people like me that do a lot of guest stars, because those are the ones who are going to get it cut down.
Yeah.
Because the less people who have, the safer it
Yeah.
is. I'm kind of planning to not work until January.
Okay.
I mean, I hope it doesn't happen, but I think it could go that far.
Yeah.
Now the question is, I think like I said, in a long-term sense, I'm thinking about heading back to Canada. I don't think I need to be here anymore. I miss Canada a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll affect your career that much. It's changed so much now that you don't have to be here like you used to.
No, it's a completely different world, isn't it? Especially with the amount of TV now with streaming and so forth. It's
they shoot everywhere. You put everything on tape, and I've got enough. I guess enough of a reputation in both places. It doesn't really matter where I go. So I don't know. I mean, I'm going to be really interested to see how we start this back up. I don't know whether you're going to do the pilots that didn't go last year first.
Yeah.
Are you going to finish seasons first? Are you going to start new seasons before you do anything else?
And there's a whole bunch of movies that need to be released. How they're going to release? It's going to be a strange time.
But it is going to be hard because it is going to be a lot less guest stars, a lot less day players. I think just for safety reasons. I think Crafty is gone, craft services, which kills me because I do this for craft services.
Yeah.
Where you get all the food you want, whatever the hell you want. That's why I do this. I might quit. I might have to quit.
Oh man, hope not.
Without craft services, the good thing is we're going to get rid of those ridiculous buffet lunches where they just leave it sitting in the tins. Because Vancouver does like plates that when you get one plate out of the truck, it's fresh. But other shows do like this buffet, and you're like, oh god, these carrots have been sitting there for like 4 hours. So that's one good thing about it going over.
Well, if one good thing for the COVID has got rid of, then it would be the buffet.
Yeah,
lunches.
But honestly, I don't know when I would feel comfortable working. I just, and it's a real risk for producers because if you start and someone gets it, you got to shut down.
Yeah.
You've committed. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, hopefully we'll be seeing you around. Hopefully, because I mean, it is a weird time, and none of us know what's going to be happening in the next few months, let alone the next few weeks, even. The way things are going. Listen, mate, it's been an absolute blast to talk to you. I mean, as I say,
really fun.
and you've been really accommodating. You've been really generous with your time on Twitter with me and fixing times and stuff. And apologies for not quite sending you the link quite in time. It was Zach's fault. I'll blame Zach for not sending it.
I was, as you can tell, I was livid. And
I know.
You're one of those. It was like, what the hell?
Honest to God, you almost went into diva mode before we came on.
I've never done it. I'm sorry I was so vague about my opinions about Trump. I'll try.
Next time, try and devise at least some forceful opinion. Yeah, don't be so airy-fairy about it, mate. If you could just hang on in just a moment, but what we'll do is say thank you for now, Patrick, and honest to God, great time.
Cool.
Thank you.
And check out Ghost of Thank you. And check out Ghost of Tsushima.
I'll be buying it, mate. Don't worry. We'll be buying it. We'll be playing it. Don't worry.
Nice.
Thank you. That was great, mate. Thank you. That was so cool. So cool. Thank you.
Good.
No, it's really good.
Look, you a bit,
no, great stories, man. Great stories. Thanks again. I mean,
most of them are true.
Well, some of them maybe.
Some of them are true.
Could you do us just one last favour, if you don't mind? Would you be kind enough to say, because we'll put this on the website and podcast later on. My name is Patrick Gallagher, and welcome to the 5D podcast. Would you be able to say something?
5D podcast, sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it without my glasses.
Go for it, mate.
Because I don't need to see myself. My name is... Oh, what am I saying?
So, I'm Patrick Gallagher, and welcome to the 5D podcast.
Okay. I'm Patrick Gallagher, and welcome to the 5D podcast. Should I do it in Welsh?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it, man.
I don't know if I can.
Go on, come on.
I'll do it Northern Irish.
Come on.
I'm Patrick Gallagher, and welcome to the 5D podcast. The best I can do.
That's great.
In a long time.
Oh,
I can do it Southern for you.
Go on,
I'm
go
Patrick
for it.
Gallagher. I'm Patrick Gallagher. Welcome to the 5D podcast. And now I'll do Canadian. I'm Patrick Gallagher. Welcome to the 5D podcast. There's my accent. That's all I can do.
You can't do. You can't.
I can do a dub Clue movie.
Go on.
Hi, my name is Patrick Gallagher. Welcome to the 5D podcast.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh over you. That was so cool.
Okay.
That was fine. I
don't know if you should use that one.
I was expecting an Attila the Hun version of it, but
So was I.
I can do that one too.
Go on.
Let me sing what I'm saying. Jump up, Tigo, Patrick Gallagher, Tigo, 5D podcast, holding boss Salamokota.
I think we've got to use that one, man.
I'll do Indonesian translate on that later.
Jabak was the first word. It means likely bomb.
But Zack, you may well have said, "Don't listen to these two arseholes. They haven't got a clue what they're talking about." So we'll need to check it first.
Honestly, I made the language up, but the key to it was I always was thinking about what I said.
Yeah.
As I said it, and one of the best compliments I ever got. I remember the first one. Sean Levy brought me into the room and he said, "I want to show you something." He said, "We screened this in front of 1,000 people, and not one person said they didn't know what you were saying," which was a huge compliment.
That's nice. That's quite good.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
You know,
I don't know which one we use,
so,
but I'm so tempted to use the Attila the Hun one. That's so cool. Listen, mate, you
or what you could do if you get some creative stuff is make it the Chinese dubbing where. No, it wouldn't work. You can use whichever one you want. I don't know what the Chinese dubbing one. I guess I'm happy. What day is it?
God knows.
Friday?
Thursday.
Oh, thank God. Okay, because I divided days up. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays I'm Asian. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays I'm white. I can make that joke on Thursday. And it wasn't random. I just failed my driving test on a Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday. I failed my driving test on a Tuesday and passed it on a Wednesday. I couldn't back up my phone on a Wednesday, but I backed it up on a Thursday. And then Sundays I'm black or Hispanic, so I can be cool once a week.
Well, just once a week, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my I just did stand up. That was one of my stupid stand up jokes.
I was cool once when I was about 15 for about a day, and never since then. But anyway.
I do want to get up there. I've always wanted to go to Scotland. I just can't get out of London because I just fucking love that town.
Yeah, I mean, we're not far.
Food in London's great.
Yeah.
Dishoom? Have you ever been to Dishoom?
No.
Zach went down to London a couple of years ago. I haven't been down for about 10.
One thing for me is shawarma, some Lebanese food.
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
And their Indian food is incredible.
Mm.
I mean, I ate in Dish. I was there in November of 2018. I still remember eating at Dishoom at King's Cross. If you ever get a chance, just go.
London's great.
And also, it's the sandwiches. I don't know why your sandwiches are so good. I think you put butter on everything. Sandwiches are fucking great.
We just cut everything in butter. That's all we do over here.
we do something called drip, and it's like you basically any fat that you cook the meat in, you would drizzle on the bread.
Oh yeah, we used to cook. My dad did that. He used to cook our toast in the bacon grease.
Yeah.
That was Irish stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I tried haggis. I just can't do it.
Oh man, I love haggis. I don't think Zach likes haggis. I love.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I think I like it if it's with something like a steak and haggis pie.
You see,
it's like,
I'm bad. I'm kind of like a junk food freak, So I forgive me, but I love my kind of KFC and McDonald's and stuff. And that's been terrible these last few months. Again, just missing out and fish and chips. God, fish and chips.
Well, you know what? I honestly, I just do this kind of. I lost a lot of weight doing this where I don't diet. It comes down to weekly calories. We gain weight over 7 days.
Yeah.
So as long as we have 14,000 calories over 7 days, you can eat however you want.
Yeah.
So that means I can go and have like a McDonald's. I just have to have chicken the next day. So yeah, In-N-Out Burger. If you ever come to LA, have you been to LA and had it?
I've never had it, but the images I've seen of it.
It's one of the few things in the world that lives up to its hype. I was so happy because
Is it not a case that they're only in certain areas because the produce is so fresh? Is that correct?
Yeah, they were only in certain areas because they couldn't be more than 8 hours away from a processing plant, and that's why they would only be in California, Nevada. I used to drive back to Vancouver up the coast, and I remember driving back. I knew where the first one was. It's in Redding, California. So I'm like driving, going, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna go. I saw something come out at Medford. I'm like, what the fuck? And they had opened one. And I turned around and went there, and they told me that they had put a meat packing plant in Sacramento. So as long as you're 8 hours outside, they're also quite a good company. Even in that book, Fast Food Nation, where he vilified everybody, he gave them some kudos.
Okay.
They pay their employees really well.
Yeah.
They give them proper time off. I think managers make $80,000 a year. I'm an atheist, and even though they have like religious shit in the bottom of the drink cups, I still go. And what's great is sometimes you get a shitty one.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel better because they're all kind of handmade. I'm going, this one doesn't not as good as the other. But go get animal. If you ever come here, get animal style. Every time I fly back from anywhere, the first tradition, I go to In-N-Out Burger.
Oh man, yeah. I have missed it last year because I mean we've a lot everywhere. A lot of ours have closed down. The town I live, cause I live about 40 miles north of Zack, so I'm just above Aberdeen. And we live in a small town that's never had a McDonald's, and they were building the McDonald's. It was nearly finished, and then we had the lockdown. It was like, oh my! So I pass it in the car, and it's there, empty.
What do you have there?
What do we have?
Fast food there?
Yeah, we have like a Burger King sort of fairly near, KFC sort of a little bit sort of near, but
yeah, I'm not a big KFC.
No, but McDonald's is kind of my thing. But I mean, my real thing's fish and chips. I'm kind of a typical Brit when it comes to
I love fish and chips. What I love too is I didn't know they called it brown sauce, but I love HP sauce.
Really? Oh yeah, brown sauce, love it. Yeah.
I was in brown sauce on everything for me.
Yeah, we would call it HP, so it was great because in Canada we have it on. So when you have breakfast here, every breakfast table diner place will have 2 kinds of hot sauce.
Yeah.
But in Canada, at least in Vancouver, every breakfast place has HP sauce.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, I put it on my eggs, and I love the UK. If I was if I could have been born anywhere else, it would have been the UK.
Well, if you're ever over, man, I mean this seriously. If you're ever over and you're coming up to Scotland, then we'll show you around Aberdeen, so and some great places around here, and
I'd love to.
Some great countryside and some the history and the castles, and so please come on over if you do, and we'll show you around.
I think I said I do want to do that thing with my dad's ashes. So as soon as we can travel, I'm going to head over to Ireland. So maybe I'll just spend.
It'd be great if we could keep in touch. It's been great having you on today, but if we could keep in touch as well,
absolutely,
it'd be so cool. Listen, mate, I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your day. It's been so cool. We'll put this out probably over the weekend.
Cool.
We'll do a video version that will go on YouTube, and the rest will go on like Apple, iTunes stuff, and all that stuff. But that's been great, honestly, seriously, cool.
Great, and hopefully I don't go on a camp with all the Trump shit.
He'll be fine.
I think I'm 9,000 on the list.
He'll be fine. You'll be fine.
As long as it's a small camp and only has a capacity of like 8,700, I'm fine.
If you get interned, we'll come and we'll stick some chips with some HP sauce through for you.
Yeah,
you'll be okay.
Thank you. Or actually, I want salsa because you can actually dissolve bars. You can dissolve metal.
There you go. Look, something new I've learned.
I saw it on Mythbusters.
I did not know that.
Over time, dissolve certain metal bars with.
But how much would it?
Acid from the fruit.
Well, you need a lot of salsa though. That'd be a lot of salsa you would need for that.
It takes time, but you can do it. So watch the Mythbusters. They actually did it, and they proved it. You can actually get it where you can eventually cut it out.
Is that one of the lies you've told Mr. Gallagher in this?
That
I'm going to research this.
That can be verified. That can be verified.
I'm going to have to look at that.
Don't even get me started on astronomy because I love that shit. Did you know that the universe is flat? And if the universe is flat, it's infinite. It has to be infinite if it's flat.
We should do an astronomy gig sometime because I love that shit as well.
All that stuff. Because think about this, quantum mechanics.
Well, no, I know of it. I'm not.
You know how it gets so small. So if we can measure a star and say that we're 800, let's say we're 10,000 light years away from that star. Okay, we can measure that. But if you're talking something so small, does that distance even matter anymore? Is there distance between the quantum realm of a star that's 10,000 light years away from us, from our quantum realm to there?
Yeah.
I mean, does it even matter anymore? To me, that's where all that marble shit is. Because seriously, if you're talking so small on microscopic levels, the distance we can measure a million light years away, the quantum shit doesn't matter. Our quantum stuff here, you know,
you've researched this, you've thought about this a lot, haven't you?
I got a lot of time on hands.
All right, man.
Okay.
Listen, sorry to cut you off there, because our Zoom thing's going to run out in about 20 seconds now. It's going to kick us out.
You guys, it was great. So you guys stay safe and stay healthy.
You too, mate. It's been a blast. Enjoyed every minute of it. You've been great. Thank you.
Great.
All right, mate. All right, you take care.
Bye-bye.
Get yourself ready for an interdimensional sensory experience. Welcome all to the dimension of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. This is the 5D Podcast.
Hello there, and welcome to the 5D Podcast, brought to you by Stuart Zack from 5d-blog.com. Welcome to those of you listening live on Twitch. Also, welcome to those of you listening on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. Be sure to check out the 5d-blog.com website for blog articles, competitions, and news. And of course, check out the 5D YouTube channel, the details for which can be found on the 5D website.